In a small town where time seemed to slow to a gentle, measured rhythm, there stood an ancient house at the edge of a quiet forest. The house, with its ivy-clad walls and weathered stones, held a story that stretched back through generations. A story woven with threads of love, loss, secrets, and the unbreakable bond of family. In this house lived two elderly souls, Edith and Leonard, whose lives were a testament to enduring love and quiet strength. Their gentle smiles and knowing eyes concealed a lifetime of joys and sorrows, and their every gesture spoke of an unspoken commitment to a legacy that they guarded as tenderly as one would hold a fragile heirloom. Their only grandson, Oliver, lived in the bustling city far away, yet his heart remained tethered to that old home, to the memories of a childhood filled with warm embraces and whispered bedtime stories, and to the unfulfilled longing for a connection he felt slipping through his fingers with every passing day. Oliver had always been a quiet soul, marked by a subtle sadness that belied the deep reservoir of emotions simmering beneath his calm exterior. The loss of his parents in a tragic accident when he was very young had left an indelible scar on his heart, a void that no amount of bustling city life or fleeting friendships could fill. Growing up in the care of his devoted grandparents had provided him with comfort, yet as he entered adulthood, the silence of his own company became almost overwhelming. Despite the love that enveloped him during visits to the countryside, Oliver often felt as though he were a solitary traveler on a long, uncharted journey, wandering through corridors of memory with no destination in sight. On one crisp autumn afternoon, with the wind whispering through the brittle leaves and casting a melancholic glow upon the landscape, Oliver returned to the old house. It had been years since he had set foot on its creaking floors, yet every step he took seemed to echo with the voices of the past. The house, bathed in the golden light of a descending sun, welcomed him like an old friend, its walls resonating with familiar laughter and shared secrets. As he settled into the worn armchair by the window, Oliver's eyes wandered to a dusty corner of the room where a neglected trunk lay hidden beneath a faded tapestry. Drawn by a mix of curiosity and an unexplainable sense of destiny, he opened the trunk to reveal a collection of artifacts that seemed to belong to another era. A faded photograph album, a bundle of yellowed letters tied with a crimson ribbon, and an intricately carved wooden box that bore mysterious symbols. Intrigued by the objects, Oliver began to explore the contents of the trunk, unaware that his discovery would mark the beginning of a journey that would change the very fabric of his life. Among the treasures was a leather-bound journal with delicate, flowing handwriting that hinted at a story of deep passion and lingering regret. The journal, its pages fragile yet brimming with the weight of untold secrets, chronicled the life of a woman named Eleanor, a name that resonated in Oliver's mind like a distant echo. As he turned each page, the words of the journal pulled him into a world where every sentence vibrated with raw emotion, where every paragraph revealed a hidden truth about love, sacrifice, and the passage of time. Eleanor's narrative was a tapestry of bittersweet moments, a tale of forbidden love, of dreams shattered by the cruel hand of fate, and of a heart that had known both the rapture of true passion and the crushing despair of loss. She wrote of clandestine meetings under starlit skies, of stolen glances and whispered promises in secret gardens, and of the insurmountable barriers imposed by society and circumstance. The words were written with a fervor that suggested both hope and resignation, as if Eleanor had known that her story, no matter how beautiful, was doomed to remain a fragile secret locked away in the recesses of memory. With every carefully penned line, Oliver felt as if he were unearthing not only the intimate confessions of a long-forgotten soul, but also pieces of his own heart that had lain dormant, waiting for the spark of recognition to awaken them. The discovery of the journal set Oliver on an unexpected path, a quest to unravel the enigma of Eleanor's life and, in the process, to come to terms with the loneliness that had haunted him since childhood. His grandparents, Edith and Leonard, upon hearing of his newfound treasure, exchanged glances filled with a mixture of trepidation and wistful understanding. In the quiet evenings that followed, as twilight painted the old house in hues of indigo and silver, they gathered with Oliver in the cozy living room. The soft hum of an old record player filled the background as they began to recount memories that had long been shrouded in silence. Leonard, with his deep, measured voice, recalled the days of his youth, a time when love was both a promise and a challenge, when every smile was tinged with the bittersweet taste of impending separation. He spoke of a time when the world was a mosaic of vibrant emotions and where every choice carried the weight of destiny. Edith, her eyes misty yet filled with quiet resolve, shared stories of resilience in the face of loss, of sacrifices made to protect those she held dear, and of the silent, unspoken bonds that had held their family together through the darkest of times. Their narratives, woven with the threads of their own experiences, revealed that the secrets contained within Eleanor's journal were not merely the musings of a solitary soul, but were intricately linked to the legacy of their own family. A legacy that spanned decades and was imbued with both radiant hope and profound sorrow. As the days turned into weeks, Oliver's journey of discovery grew ever more intense. He spent long hours poring over the journal, the letters, and the photographs, piecing together fragments of a past that had been carefully hidden away. With each new clue, the tapestry of Eleanor's life became more complex. He learned that she had once been the cherished daughter of a prominent family, destined for a life of comfort and security, yet her heart had yearned for something more, an existence that transcended the confines of societal expectation. Her love, as it turned out, was a rebellion against the rigid norms of her time, a passionate defiance of the predetermined roles that had been imposed upon her. The journal hinted at secret rendezvous in moonlit gardens, passionate declarations that defied convention, and a love that had been as dangerous as it was intoxicating. One fateful evening, as a storm raged outside and the wind howled like a symphony of lost souls, Oliver's determination reached its zenith. The old house, usually a place of quiet reflection, seemed to pulsate with an almost palpable energy, a stirring of long-forgotten emotions that had been buried beneath layers of dust and time. Drawn by a force he could neither understand nor resist, Oliver ventured into the labyrinthine corridors of the house, the journal clutched tightly in his hand. The floors creaked underfoot as if whispering secrets of bygone eras, and the flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, turning each familiar corner into a realm of mystery and possibility. In a secluded alcove near the back of the house, Oliver discovered a narrow passage hidden behind a tapestry of deep burgundy. The passage, lined with faded portraits of ancestors whose eyes seemed to follow his every move, led him to a small, dust-laden room that had been kept secret for decades. The room was an enigmatic shrine to memories, a repository of relics that bore the imprints of lives lived with passion and regret. Among the objects were a delicate porcelain vase with intricate blue patterns, a stack of letters bound by a fraying ribbon, and a faded diary that appeared to be Eleanor's personal account of her most cherished moments. The air in the room was thick with the scent of aged paper and the lingering fragrance of roses, evoking an overwhelming sense of nostalgia and longing. As Oliver sifted through the treasures of the secret room, a realization began to take shape. A realization that his own loneliness was not an isolated affliction, but a thread that connected him to the myriad souls who had come before him. Each artifact, each scrap of paper, resonated with a story of love lost and found, of dreams shattered by the inexorable passage of time, and of the bittersweet beauty that lay hidden within every farewell. The room was not just a collection of objects. It was a living archive of emotions, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of relentless change. In that quiet, hidden space, Oliver felt a kinship with Eleanor, a kinship that transcended the boundaries of time and bridged the gap between the past and the present. In the days that followed, the old house transformed into a sanctuary of revelation. The rhythm of daily life was punctuated by long, reflective conversations, quiet moments of shared silence, and an unspoken understanding that the mysteries of the past held the key to healing the wounds of the present. Edith and Leonard, once reticent about the secrets of their own youth, began to share details that had long been kept under lock and key. They spoke of clandestine meetings in moonlit courtyards, of whispered promises exchanged in the dead of night, and of a love that had defied all odds, even as it was marred by the harsh realities of a world that often valued duty over desire. The narrative of Eleanor's life, as recounted through her journal and the relics of a secret room, became a mirror through which Oliver could see reflections of his own inner struggles. Her journey, marked by moments of exultant joy and piercing sorrow, resonated deeply with him. He found himself questioning the very nature of loneliness, pondering whether it was a state of being or merely a phase in the grand tapestry of existence, a transient shadow that could be dispelled by the light of understanding and connection. With every new detail unearthed, the sense of isolation that had plagued him began to ebb away, replaced by a burgeoning awareness of the vast network of love that spanned generations. Late one rainy afternoon, as the heavens wept and the steady patter of raindrops melded with the soft murmur of distant memories, Oliver sat at a weathered desk by a window streaked with rain. In that quiet moment of introspection, he realized that his quest for answers was, in essence, a search for belonging. The pages of Eleanor's journal, filled with raw confessions and tender revelations, served as a roadmap, a guide that pointed the way toward reconciliation with the past and, ultimately, a newfound embrace of his own identity. It was as if the secrets embedded in each sentence were imbued with a healing power, a promise that even the deepest wounds could mend when touched by the gentle caress of time. In a moment of inspired clarity, Oliver resolved to follow the trail left by Eleanor's words, to retrace the steps of her clandestine journey, and to uncover the truth behind the enigmatic symbols that adorned the carved wooden box he had found earlier. The box, with its intricate designs and mysterious inscriptions, seemed to pulse with an energy that belied its inert form. Its surfaces etched with delicate patterns that hinted at ancient rites and lost traditions, invited Oliver to explore further, a silent challenge to decipher the code that had been locked away for generations. Driven by an inner compulsion that bordered on the mystical, Oliver embarked on a series of investigations that led him to dusty archives, forgotten libraries, and even the local parish records where the names of his ancestors were recorded with solemn reverence. Each step of his journey was fraught with challenges, as if the universe itself conspired to test his resolve. There were moments when the answers seemed tantalizingly close, only to vanish like mist in the morning sun. Yet, with each setback, Oliver's determination grew stronger, fueled by the realization that the key to his own healing lay hidden in the labyrinth of his family's past. His quest took him beyond the familiar boundaries of the old house and into the broader tapestry of the town's history. He discovered that Eleanor had once been at the center of a clandestine circle of artists and intellectuals, a group of free spirits who defied convention and embraced a life of passion and creativity. Their secret gatherings, held in secluded gardens and hidden courtyards, were whispered about in hushed tones by those who recalled the vibrancy of a time when love and art intermingled freely. The symbols on the wooden box, Oliver learned, were not merely decorative. They were coded representations of a forgotten language, a lexicon of emotion that had been used to convey messages of love, hope, and defiance in an era when words alone were deemed too frail to capture the intensity of the human heart. The more Oliver uncovered, the more he realized that his journey was not simply about solving a historical mystery. It was a transformative odyssey that demanded he confront the painful echoes of his own past. Each revelation about Eleanor's life, each detail of the secret gatherings and forbidden romances, acted as a catalyst for introspection. Oliver began to see that the loneliness he had carried with him was a shared experience, a common thread that linked him to countless others who had dared to love in a world that often seemed indifferent to their pain. In embracing the bittersweet legacy of his ancestry, he started to weave his own narrative into the fabric of the family's history, bridging the gap between what had been lost and what could be reclaimed. The old house, with its creaking beams and whispering corridors, became a living chronicle of this metamorphosis. In its silent halls, Oliver felt the presence of all those who had come before him, their hopes, their regrets, and their indomitable spirit echoing in every shadow. The house itself seemed to breathe with the pulse of history, each room resonating with the laughter of yesteryear and the quiet determination of souls who had weathered life's storms. In moments of solitude, as he wandered the long-forgotten passages, Oliver would pause before a dusty mirror and catch a glimpse of himself, a young man no longer defined by isolation, but by the cumulative strength of generations past. As the seasons shifted, the lines between past and present began to blur. The relics of Eleanor's story melded seamlessly with Oliver's own experiences, creating a narrative that was at once deeply personal and universally resonant. The bittersweet memories of a lost love, the whispered promises of clandestine meetings, and the quiet triumphs over life's inevitable sorrows all converged into a single, timeless saga. With every passing day, Oliver grew more aware that the journey he had embarked upon was as much about self-discovery as it was about unearthing family secrets. The scars of loneliness, once a source of quiet despair, began to fade, replaced by an understanding that true belonging was not defined by the absence of pain, but by the capacity to love and be loved despite it. In one particularly reflective twilight, as the sky was set ablaze with the hues of a fading sunset, Oliver sat on the creaking porch of the old house, his eyes tracing the silhouettes of trees swaying in the gentle breeze. The wooden box, now securely nestled on a small table beside him, beckoned with its enigmatic allure. Its carvings, once cryptic and elusive, now spoke to him in a language that transcended words, a language of symbols and emotions that have been passed down through generations like a sacred rite. In that moment of stillness, Oliver felt a profound connection to every soul whose heart had ever been touched by love, loss, and the quiet resilience that had defined the human experience. The revelation that struck him was both startling and comforting. The legacy of his family was not merely a series of fragmented memories or a collection of dusty artifacts. It was a living, breathing testament to the power of love and the eternal quest for connection, a narrative that could light the darkest corners of solitude and transform isolation into an enduring embrace of hope. With this newfound understanding, Oliver resolved to honor the memory of Eleanor and all the others whose lives have been intertwined with the destiny of the old house. He decided to document his journey, to record the intricate details of his discoveries and the emotional revelations that had accompanied each step of the way. In doing so, he hoped to create a tapestry of words that would serve as both a tribute to the past and a guiding light for those who might one day find themselves lost in the labyrinth of their own hearts. Days melted into nights, and nights into days, as Oliver's quest for truth became a sacred ritual, a meditative practice that connected him to the rhythms of nature and the pulse of history. The pages of his own journal filled with reflections, sketches, and fragments of poetry that echoed the cadence of Eleanor's long-ago verses. His grandparents, witnessing the transformation in their grandson, found their own hearts stirred by the unfolding narrative. They too began to write down the memories of their youth, the moments of fleeting joy and lingering sorrow that had shaped their lives in ways both subtle and profound. In the quiet glow of candlelight, the old house was alive with the sound of shared reminiscence, of voices melding into a harmonious chorus that celebrated the resilience of the human spirit. Throughout this journey, Oliver encountered moments of breathtaking suspense, instances when the past seemed to reach out with ghostly hands, offering hints of truths too delicate to fully comprehend. There were nights when he awoke to the sound of a creaking floorboard or the soft murmur of an unseen presence, as if the house itself were whispering secrets from a forgotten era. In those moments, a chill would run down his spine, not out of fear, but as a deep, almost primal acknowledgement that he was part of a continuum that spanned time and space. Each subtle occurrence, each inexplicable sound, wove itself into the fabric of his experience, intensifying his determination to honor the legacy of those who had come before him. By the time the first blossoms of spring emerged, painting the garden with vibrant hues of pink and white, Oliver had reached a state of quiet acceptance. The once overwhelming loneliness that had plagued him had given way to a profound sense of unity, a realization that every tear, every moment of despair, had been a stepping stone toward this renewal. With every piece of the puzzle he unearthed, he felt a deep, stirring gratitude for the journey itself, for the moments of beauty hidden within the struggle, and for the invisible threads that bound him to his ancestors. In a final, stirring act of resolve, Oliver placed the wooden box, now unlocked of its mystery, in the center of the living room, where its presence became a silent focal point, a symbol of reconciliation between past and present. Surrounded by the handwritten memories of his grandparents and the tender verses of Eleanor's long-forgotten poetry, he understood that the legacy of the old house was a living, evolving story, one that transcended the boundaries of time and whispered eternal truths to anyone willing to listen. As the soft murmur of the evening settled over the house, and the first stars began to twinkle in the twilight sky, Oliver embraced the beauty of his journey, accepting that the loneliness he once feared was simply a prelude to a greater, more resilient connection with the tapestry of life. And so, in that timeless sanctuary of memories and love, the ancient house continued to stand, a silent guardian of secrets, a beacon of hope, and a living testament to the enduring power of human connection. Oliver's journey, forged in the crucible of heartache and illuminated by the gentle light of remembrance, became a legacy in its own right, a reminder that no one is ever truly alone. For within every heart lies the capacity to heal, to love, and to find solace in the echoes of the past, transforming every solitary moment into a celebration of life's profound and mysterious beauty.